Welcome back to this Let's Play of the Last Remnant. Last time we did a random side quest looking for a Baron's lost wife, just so that he could, have her come back and not like him any more than she did before. And, so we're going to, follow her to the Gasland Caves this time. And this is the Gasland Caves yet again, but we're actually going to go into a new area of the Gasland Caves, so it won't be quite as tedious as you might think. In fact, I'm not even going to waste my dig points on the stuff here at the beginning. These monsters here are now trivially, stupidly easy, as in Rush could him alone. Well, maybe I'm not that well equipped, but let's just say there's not a big challenge here anymore. Well, there never really was. I mean, this is an area you're supposed to be able to go into with just you, Blocter, and one soldier, so I don't think they expected it to be hard. Anyway, oh hey! Oh, look at that! This is a monster we wanted to encounter. He's part of a guild quest. His name is Blue Jaws. And, he is not actually going to be a pushover, but oh well. Well, he won't be super hard. This laser breath attack he's about to use is kind of annoying, though. It can essentially hit a variety of enemies, depending on sort of who gets targeted. It can sometimes be rather vicious, and sometimes it can be rather weak. I've turned on turbo mode just to, kind of speed things up.
I feel stronger than before!
See that? I'm constantly growing stronger!
And we actually captured him. I'm actually going to split him instead of selling him. I do eventually want to start selling monsters. You need to sell monsters in order to improve your trade rank, which you need to get random, rare items from shops. But, at this point, these are all components that I don't have, so I want to get those out of the way. Well, that was convenient. I was actually going to have to come back here and grind him a little bit later, which would have been really tedious. And I'll save, actually, since I've got that fight out of the way, purely accidentally. Can't argue with that. We have the map for this part, and essentially we're just going to the very far north end of the map. Yeah, just potion components. I'm not actually going to use potions in this game. Rush will eventually learn the skill, and I think Caedmon knows the skill by default. They're not awful, but they're just not that useful. This dig point here, I'm gonna play around with a bit. It can be harvested for an item which is normally a drop, and I don't want to try and drop it, so I'll be right back. I misremembered. It's actually not this dig point. There's a dig point down. See where this spur goes off down here to the left? That's where it is. Specifically, that is a dig point which will very rarely give you Beastman Bone, which normally you have to kill monsters for, and since I don't want to kill trashy monsters for components, I am going to do things like, play around with that. This Canal of Repentance here has got its own map, which I don't have, obviously. So it's fairly straightforward. It's a fairly linear area. There are a couple of options on where to go, but nothing too important. I think one of them leads to the map, and, well, that's just going to be too bad. I think I'm just gonna... I believe it's down this way. Could be wrong, though. Now, again, since I've tagged those monsters with time shift, they'll continue to follow me for quite a distance, but once I hit time shift again, as long as I haven't tagged any monsters, I can just use the attack button and it'll clear them off. And nothing is locked on to me. There's a chest back there. Well, I don't really care about it. We'll come back to this area later. I might actually do some of the coming back to this area off screen, just because there's not really all that much that's interesting down here. More just random junk. Oh, I guess we're right there, but I'm just gonna fight this guy because, well, sometimes I just don't want to bother having to load a save to get around them, and they're really not that dangerous. Oh, actually, they're a little bit dangerous. I'll just, well, I'm not going to bother with Talisman's Gift. I'm just going to have them go all out. I guess I should have bothered with Talisman's Gift, because we died. Oh well. Just as a point of reference, if you have several characters in your in sort of each union, the characters on top will tend to use AP before the characters on bottom. So if you have a character that you're trying to grind a skill for example, I'm trying to grind hexes on Maddox, so I put him at the front of the union, just so that he can get to the AP first, so he will use his hexes instead of having other people use their stuff. And I'm just going to time shift and then talk to Gabe here. And more or less Violet here is planning to assassinate the Duke, and I don't understand this whole assassination attempt. Well, again, it's a fight. It's a trap? No, it's not really a trap. It's just, well, they managed to attack, just randomly have beastmen attack the town at the same time we were coming in. And there. That those wyverns there, I don't think they can multi-deadlock, but I'm actually going to have my group split up and sort of each take one, except for the Jorgen unit, which, since I don't really care about them, any of their skills, I am going to just leave them to heal. Talk about piling on. I guess those things do multi-deadlock. I guess Jorgen's unit is going to have to fight some stuff anyways. Oh well. I'm also having Emmy switch to using single-handed attacks rather than the dual wield. It seems sort of counterproductive to have her, you know, be using single attacks when she's got you know, perfectly valuable sword in her offhand. But she needs to work on single-handed attacks for a much later skill. And that'll be a while, but I've also made a point of having Rush's Union be all characters I, you know, quote-unquote care about. I've tried to sort of focus the characters who are sort of not here for the long run into one union, so that if I have an option of just sort of leaving them out of the battle, I will. No point in having them kill things more quickly if they're just, you know, using it to practice skills that I'll never use in the long run. You know, Jorgen in particular, he's got everything I need him to have. Not that these things are really going to absorb a whole lot of hits anyways.
Sweet! There's still plenty of power left in these old bones.
I must surpass my mother.
And unfortunately we didn't get much in the way of dropped loot from monsters, but oh well. And more or less by intervening with that invasion, we have restored Violet's family's good name. She's part of the family that used to rule this place, and the Duke of Kubine took over, so. And apparently Violet has just snubbed her boyfriend in favor of her actual husband. Imagine that. And he gives you some more cash. He also gives you access to a new guild. Guilds are the places where you can recruit soldiers. And these are just all my companions telling me, as if I didn't already know, what items they need. And this guild doesn't actually show up on the map until you actually go in it. Sword of Three Realms. And the best part of this is we get a whole nother set of guild tasks, which means we get a whole bunch of free stuff. Now, that Jana Weekly and that Leapfrog Weekly are what the game calls magazines, and those change essentially without those you can't get certain drops from enemies. So we'll recruit Violet. And we also completed a task for our old guild by that Hydra we randomly ran over rather unceremoniously, Blue Jaws. So let's hand that in. Oops, that's the tavern. He didn't want to do that. The guild's over here. And we should also be able to recruit Gabriel, which really kind of fills us out, at least with good temporary characters. Neither Violet nor Gabriel are ones I'm going to use for the long term. Though, honestly, you could use either of them. And they have a whole bunch of... more of these leaders just keep showing up as time goes by, but as you can see, they're all pretty... I mean, Faye here does start with Vivification Herb. She's actually not a bad character in the long run, but she's not a good character, so I don't care. I have a lot of sort of so-so characters. I'm going to have to reset up my unions now that I have, actual characters I want to use. So I'll do that off-screen, but I'll also hand in some guild tasks, like the Monster Slayer. We get new formations, and we also have just picked up a bunch of random items. So I will set everything up and be right back. I'll go over my formations in the next video because we're out of time, but this setup here is something I'm going to keep for quite a bit of, essentially for probably the next, until I get 18 party members actually. So, see you next time.